Moxie Gardens. I'm Mike Toomey, and today I'm going to take you on a little morning tour. Just to catch you up to snuff if you haven't yet found the videos, we're about 2 weeks old. I'm coming to you from the state of Kansas, and it's Zone 6A, and kind of just started doing these videos because I couldn't find anything in 6A, and there was a lot of other reasons. I'll touch on those later on down the road as the channel continues to grow. I think it's exciting, so I don't want to be too redundant to everyone who's watched some of the other videos. But yeah, today I went out and I found some goodies at a local box store. I talked about it in other videos. Go out and capture these clearance prices, and yeah, come in and put them in your yard and figure out a way to make it happen. There's nothing wrong with clearance prices. As you can see, I've got a mess of them, and I'm going to make it happen. So if you're ready for a morning tour in the good state of Kansas, let's head out front and we'll get started. Let me get this cleaned up. Talk to you soon. Okay guys, just promised, I'm going to give you a little tour. It's going to be a quick tour. Rain's coming in, and there's a birthday party that's going to be happening across the street. So just kind of wanted to fill you in. I won't go over names today of the different things that are planted in the garden, but I will go over a few things. The channel is growing, and more than I expected, and I actually didn't even have any idea that this was going to go down, and so I get a lot of questions of some stuff that I can try to go over. I did have some rain come in a while ago, so like I said, it's going to be a quick video. I live in Kansas, like I touched on a while ago, and I moved here 9 years ago. And we purchased this home 7 years ago, and we worked on the inside of the house for the first year. Then the second year, that I guess would be my first spring here, I decided to start working in the yard and doing a little bit of landscape, plant a tree or whatnot. When we moved here, there were no fences, there were none of these trees. All this stuff has been brought in. This tree right here, that was the first tree my son and I planted in the entire yard. This was all grass through here. Sorry about that. If you saw the break in the video, it's because the neighbors are stopping by and want to take pictures. Like I said, there's a birthday party across the street, and they really like it. They see me out here, so they're coming to visit. So I apologize if there's breaks in this. It's just because it's Sunday and people are friendly and curious. But anyways, back to what I was saying. This was the first tree planted. I'm in the front yard. This is east facing. That red fence behind you is my neighbor's, and that's what I moved in here with. That's her backyard. So it's kind of weird how this yard lays. We're in what seems like I think it's 6 homes on both sides of us, and you can see their back porch kind of, and back there, that's their back porch. So we're kind of in everybody's backyard. It's really weird. So when we first purchased this home, we're like, you know what, let's just flip the home. We'll get to where we want to be, which is in the country. We're country bumpkins. And yeah, didn't work out that way because I went crazy. And well, anyways, let me bring it back a little bit. Anyway, so this tree was the first tree ever planted in the yard by us. I have not showed you this view. We haven't toured that side of the yard, but that tree is the only tree that was in the yard, and it was a little guy. Pan you back around. So we're the only house on this block. There's 2 cul-de-sacs at the end of our street. We're the only house on this block that faces south. Everybody else faces east and west. So we're in the backyard. So I ran into a bit of a struggle. I had a complex that everybody was looking down on me when we went to the backyard. So if we were playing on the trampoline or whatever it would be, playing with the dogs, just being ourselves, anybody who wanted to could just look out the door or out their bedroom window or whatever, and they could look down on us. And I don't know, it just didn't feel comfortable, you know? You don't get to be yourself. As we get older, our bodies aren't shaped the way. And hey, I wanted to kind of run around without a t-shirt, without somebody reminding me that I'm not in shape anymore. I'm not 20. Look at this guy. Huh? This is so good. So that's how that happened. And here's another one. I'm just all about this crazy wonky stuff. So back to the story. So we've planted that tree once again, that tree, and that was the extent of it for the front yard. And then we got a boxer, and we needed to make sure that she would stay in the yard, and plus we were putting up a pond, so we put up that fence. And our neighborhood kids in the background. So we put up the fence and put in a pond, called it good. That was the extent of it, right? Well, nope. Then after the pond, I had to do something more, and I'll get back there and I'll show you the pond. But I had to do more. My imagination, my creativity, that led me to this design. I could see stuff without it being here. And I had a little backlash from the neighbor. She felt I was doing way too much, and she didn't have the vision, much like my wife. My wife tells me all the time, I don't have the vision, but now I'm starting to trust you. Just go for it. And so, So then we got our boxer. Her name was Moxie. And she was our first pet, moving the children, our family, to this side of the state. And my children were born and raised in a small town back home. It's called Garden City. If you've heard of Dodge City or the Clutters, or they made a book of the Clutters in Cold Blood. Yeah, I don't want to get too dark, but anyway, so that's the story there. That's where we grew up. If you ever heard of Dodge City, Kansas, the western, we were about an hour west of there. So we move our family over here, so to acclimate from them. And it was the kids' choice as well. We're big sports fans, and we wanted stuff to do, and every weekend we had to wait, or Fridays we had to wait till kids were out of school and we were off work to go and kind of have a good weekend. But then you had to travel 6 to 8 hours in either direction just to have something to do. So over the years, the kids acclimated to the idea that they really wanted to give up everything. Remember when I talked on the I had another video where I went to an antique store? Yeah, I forgot to show you guys that. So I took those in there. Isn't there some mystery behind this pallet wall? Those of you who are just joining, that's all pallet walls. All I did was build a frame, put some solid wood behind there. I'm gonna put an iron gate in there, and I've got some climbing roses here, and they're gonna go. That's that vine beside it is wild honeysuckle. Yes, I understand. I'll keep it under control. But I forgot to show you guys that, and I think that's super neat, super impressive. If you can just use your imagination for a second, say this is an old barn, because you can't see the other side so well. So, and then what you do, you can see, look at that. See how it kind of gives you the idea you need to follow these steps here. See these steps? So yeah, I created this with the illusion that you have to tell yourself, I gotta go see what's on the other side. Hey, guess what? On the other side, that's where our hammock is. Maybe put a hot tub later, but that's where the hammock is. We just hang out. But yeah, the illusion is that there's so much more on the backside. All right, back to the story. So the kids move here. It's an adjustment for them, meeting brand new friends and whatnot, what they gave up back home. Their grandma and grandpa and aunts and uncles and nieces or cousins and whatnot. In fact, the same doctor who delivered my wife delivered my children. I was actually born in Elkhart, Indiana, so I just transferred there, moved there at some point in my youth, and that's where I grew up. So Moxie, which my son made this sign for me, and my wife shaped it into a dog bone. She had the people who customized it make it look like a dog bone. So we bought Moxie for the family in somewhat of a hopes to kind of ease the pain of, moving away. Well, Moxie comes along, and she's a great transition for our family. We fall in love with her. We do, she just becomes a member. She's no longer a dog or whatever. We love our babies. We love our fur babies, and she became part of the family. Well, when doing that, she had some hereditary issues that we were not aware of, and over time, within a few years, she got this disease, or I can't remember what it's called, but anyways, the swelling in her stomach made her bloat, and it made her feel like she was full of water. And we took her to every doctor, every vet. Might as well be a doctor once you start paying for that stuff. We took her everywhere, guys, and unfortunately we had to put her down, and it was the most devastating thing that our family went through once we moved here, because we're happy-go-lucky people, not much, we just play it safe. And that was their first dog that had passed away. And you know what? Can I pause for a second? I just planted this up. I found a box store that had that stuff on clearance. Oh yeah, I was talking about that at the beginning in the introduction. You guys like that? You see how it just kind of brightens that area up? Those are Springer boxwoods behind it. Boom, 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 boom. And that's going to close in, but look. And then my sweet, sweet friend from work went to Utah. She's in her 60s. Her name is Kay. And she has no idea that I do these videos or anything. In fact, nobody in my family, nobody other than my immediate family in this house and 2 other friends know. So all the subscriptions are people who actually have a love for gardening. I just haven't told anybody. This is just my wife, my 3 kids, my 2 brothers, and a couple friends. That's it. That's all that know about that. So yeah, anyways, see, I ramble on too much, but that post, or that piece of driftwood, she thought about me when she was in Utah a couple weeks ago on vacation, and she brought that back, and I said, oh Lord, I know exactly. So here's the illusion. Guys, this video might turn into be something else. I'm telling you a story and then I get off. So that driftwood, I dug down in the ground, and this is key for any of you guys who are starting out or trying to build a design, trying to create the illusion that stuff's been there for a long time. So dig it down in the ground, bury it, cover with mulch. I know we want to put it front and center and let everybody know it's a piece of driftwood and it's really pretty and everything. Well, just put the pretty side out, then light it up with some bright flowers. In this case, that's monkey grass, and it's the variegated kind. But look at you see the contrast between the mulch and then that. Oh my gosh, guys, I won't cuss, but there are some things brewing in my head that wants to celebrate how happy I am about that. And if you're passionate in your garden as much as I am, you can probably imagine when you look at something you've done and created, you just want to celebrate with a little naughty. So, little naughty words, that is. Anyways, back to the script. So we have to put her down, our beloved Moxie. In the meantime, I'm still digging around the yard, and the neighbors, they have we've been here for about a year. We now have our fence up, we have our pond in, and if you don't have a pond or don't know anything about it, you have to have a fence around it, 6-foot fence. And if it's not code for your area, do so anyways. You would hate to come home and see your neighbor's children playing around there. I assume you can have an imagination to know what I'm talking about, and little puppies and just wildlife can just find their way in there. And so just play it safe, guys. All right, back to the story. So the fence goes in, then I plant that maple tree, I plant that maple tree, and I have to walk around. I plant that maple tree, and then I plant those two right there. Those are sycamores. I plant those in the ground. Now, when I did this, and you're saying, well, how is this garden only 5 to 6 years old? That don't make sense. Well, I bought those in burlap. So all these trees were in burlap. So somebody already did the work for me. So that's called hardscape. For anybody who's new to gardening, that's called hardscape. When you get your big items in here, there's some birch trees, river birch. That's the low spot. If you watched any of my videos, and it's probably become redundant at this point, that my yard flooded, and so I had to make this dry creek. Let's see, the pond used to be underwater. I didn't have a water. We didn't have our first rainfall until after we had put the pond in, and then that thing was underwater. The fish got out. They went downstream, thinking that they're going to a happy place, and it was just grass. So this creek will fill up. It will follow a trench underneath there, follow this walkway, get my hand out of the way, or this little dry creek, and go around. So that's why, if you in your mind when you're looking at this, if you're watching this for the first time, you're saying, well, why don't you do a water feature in there? Man, that's really just to make sure that my house don't become a water feature. I don't want the basement and all that filled up. All right, so let's get back to the story. So those of you, again, that's called hardscape. Those are your big items. You can build your whole garden around those key items. So if you're doing arborvitae, you're doing your big trees. This right here, if you're just joining us, that's a moongate. That can be considered a hardscape. This is a red bud. That can be considered a hardscape. And you can build up around it. Not to get off center, but this red bud was about to be a goner at a local box store, and I decided I'm gonna give it a chance, and I built this bed all the way around it, and I planted that tree right there. So those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, those 8 trees are the beginning of the backyard. And then that's how it happened. The yard started to materialize. So the garden flooded, and so I needed to add a piece of plywood on the ground right there to get over into this yard in order to get the mower over. And so in order to mow the yard, I had to go through standing water every time. I have clay soil, and if you have clay soil, you know the water will just hang out. It will just hang out for a good long time. So I built that pond, then I built this bridge to get over, and then I was like, wow, this needs a dry creek right here just so the water can run off. Well, then I needed that deck, so because we built that porch, my wife and I did that. And then I'm scared of heights, and so that's about 20 feet in the air. So we had some hired hand come in and help me finish the roof, but yeah, my wife and I did all that. So we needed a deck to come off of this landing here. So that was now in water. So I said, well, I'm gonna dig a trench underneath and then put that water feature in there. So yeah, it all kind of just started going wild. And so then I had to build up around the creek. So I needed flowers. It was just too hard with all the material, the stone and whatnot. So I needed some stone and some plants around the stone. And then it just continued. As you can imagine, it just continued and continued and continued. One thing led to another, and the flowers just started coming in, and I started to learn about heights of shrubs, and I started YouTubing, and some of my favorite people out there in the YouTube universe taught me the different tricks and stuff with colors, but I still had to go out and do it, you know. I still had to go and shoot my shot, and that's what I did. We have a saying around my house that says, you do you You make the decision that you want, what feels good to you, and as long as you're not hurting anybody, go for it. If you make a mistake, we'll back you, we'll take care of you. And so the family said, you do you, Mike, and or Dad, whichever, and they just let me go for it. So yeah, so all those trees that are around here, that led to all the beds below it. Because if you're starting out, if you want your trees to mature and do really well, cut the grass around it. Get you some type of design around the tree, whether you want it to be an oval or a square. Come away from about 3 feet on all sides. And by doing that, you will allow the tree to drink the water without any, what do you call it? The grass will grow up around the tree trunk and stuff, and it just kind of drinks the water more than the tree does. And new trees, they just need the love, you know? It's like a new baby. Give it as much nurturing as you can, and it'll work itself out. It just rained a little bit ago, so the pond's a little murky. Those fish, I don't know if you could, there's some large koi in there, and they're so excited they want me to feed them. It is kind of cloudy in there. I can see to the bottom most times. One of the questions that are asked of me about the pond is, how deep is it? Do you have koi? Yes, I have koi. I have goldfish. And because I created this environment, we have dragonflies, and we've had frogs, and crawdads have showed up. I don't know how that stuff happens. It happens, and I'm like out here going, where did a crawdad come from? But I don't know. Anyways, so you guys see the iris are blooming. You see the lilies are blooming. This little ecosystem I built here is all the rave right now in my mind. So Moxie Gardens became part because of Moxie passing away, and we loved her so much, and she was just a part of this whole family. And when I continued to create this backyard, it became more than just some landscape, you know? It just kind of took on its own character. I'm a plant collector, and I just continued to push the limits, and I wanted more, and I wanted more. And if I can mention it one more time, I wanted more, and I added more. And I wanted a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And would I rather do drifts? Yeah, I would absolutely love to do drifts, but I live on a 1/4 acre lot, so the landscape isn't so large that I can do what I want to do. So you just have to kind of make it work. And yeah, one thing led to another, and I learned about different plants and whatnot. If you're brand new to this, I promise you, we had the same knowledge. And I would even say that 70 years ago when I started this, I had the same kind of perspective and ideas that you guys did. Like, how do you get to where you want to get? And here's another trick while I'm going, guys. For you newcomers, or even seasoned people, if you're having a tough time, that's what we're here for. We're just here to kind of share our thoughts. But you see how that is a blue. Can't hold this with one hand, I'm shaking. And behind it is a green, and you see the different heights. And then you come down here, and you see that has a different style right there, and it has a different green than the one in the background. And then I add in some grass. Those are all different components. You see I put some sedum down here. And he's just a little guy right now. I just popped him in, and as I said, just adding so much flavor and flair to this. And are all these components compatible with one each other? Meaning, you know, is one gonna bully the other one out? You know what? I've adopted them and put them in my yard, so they're just gonna have to work it out. I'll help them along the way. If I have to be their little coach to make it happen, I'll do it. Because I don't want it to go away. You see how the reds are in there? And then this dappled willow back here. I keep talking about dappled willow. That is so sexy. Get you some dappled willow, y'all. But you see how the reds, and the different blues and greens play off of each other. And then you see in the background how I pop in some more purples, and there's a lime green back there. That's a tiger's eye sumac. Let's make it happen. Go for it. So, I knew it. I knew I'd get off base. I'd go all over the place, and trying to take you along on this little ride here, and I'm just a mess right now. I'm trying to tell you everything. So this berm I built up, this one, and if you watch my other videos, that's a berm. That's a berm. That's a berm. That's soil that's been raised up in order to add different things and elements to the yard. And that's a berm back there. I had to raise it up above the basic soil line so that I could bring in a whole host of different plants and introduce so much more to the backyard, so that the clay soil would not rot out my plants. Yeah, so along the way we just built up this ground, because at the beginning I lost a lot of flowers because I wasn't aware that a lot of these flowers don't need the water like you think they would. Here's some monkey grass right there. That's not the variegated kind. And can I just tell you for a moment, those of you who have ground cover, maybe you moved into your new home, or you planted something and you thought it would be perfect, and then it took over and it's hard to kill, and you've done the whole hot water treatment, and you've done the boiling water, and you've done chemicals, and you're doing it. Hey guys, newsflash, just make it work. Add something around it. You see the spirea right here? I just added it there around this monkey grass. Yeah, I put that monkey grass there, but so many people were telling me that stuff's invasive, it's gonna take over. Hey, you know what? The landscape will figure that out. I'm gonna put this here, and now there's not enough light down there for it to really do what it wants to do. And then you see the sedum right here? I'm gonna put that sedum right there. Now look, it almost looks like it's naturally done. You can plug in arborvitaes, you can plug in whatever you want. Let it do the work, pop it around, and then let it have little pockets. Just like this monkey grass right here. That's just a little pocket. That's just a little pocket of love right there. See that right there? Had I just listened to the advice of the folks that said don't do it, monkey grass will take over. Looky there. It looks like it was designed to do that. Let's go around this corner. So when doing this landscape, I had my brothers, and I have a bad back, and sometimes when it goes out, and the sun's gonna shine and it's probably gonna mess up. But my brothers and everything, and my wife and my kids, whenever I was bringing bags back here of mulch and soil and different things, they would say to me, well, let us help you. So then one thing leads to another, and I have a whole bunch of people back here helping me move soil and dirt, and I think there's a rabbit back there. Anyways, so they helped me build this landscape up. And if you're wondering why this is in a box shape right here, it's because that's where our vegetable garden used to be. We used to have asparagus and tomatoes and peppers and whatnot, and not anymore. I don't get enough sun back there. It's enough sun for the iris, but eventually it's gonna have to come down as well. And that'll be a part of your garden experience too. Just because you plant something today doesn't mean tomorrow it's gonna like that spot. So whenever it came to all the work that everybody had helped me do, and probably feeling sorry for me, my dad's out there with more mulch. What'd Dad bring home today? Got more soil. There's some more rock Dad brought in. Well, along the way I decided that I was gonna name the garden. And I said, I got two options in my head. One is Moxie Gardens. Look up the definition of Moxie. And the other option is T5 Gardens. My last name obviously being Toomey. And then there's 5 of us, and there's 3 children, my wife and I, so there's 5 of us. So I thought T5 Gardens, because we do so much back here. Well, then I had to pump the brakes on that, because there have been so many people that have helped contribute to the bags getting back here. Like I said, maybe they felt sorry for me or whatnot, but they helped me. And I was like, you know what, I can't say just Mike and the kids did it, or T5 did it. It was a host of people that had their hands involved in it. And I said, I'm going to honor Moxie because that's what I want to do. I want to remember her forever, in that sense that when we first moved here, she was our first live experience with anything going on, and I wanted to do that. All right, sorry about that, guys. I'm back. Neighbors wanted to talk. Anyways, I'm not sure where I was at. Oh yeah, so I wanted to name the garden after Moxie, and that way it was just kind of, it just felt right. You guys ever do that? You leave a tool out and you're not sure where it's at? I tore this garden morning and night, and I've been looking for that. Had this on a video not too long ago. Something about pergolas, if you want to check that out. I'll be adding fish to that, but that's about 5.5, 6 foot. No, I go 5.5 foot tall. Comes up to my shoulders. So that wood came from North Dakota. My brother's works on a pipeline, and he had some laying around. He asked if I wanted it before they hauled it off. Well, of course. So yeah, check that video out if you'd like. If not, I've never had lungswort before, and I'm gonna do that for the first time. This is my shade garden of sorts. Again, the garden being so new, I don't have a lot of shade. It appears that it's starting to take over, but in due time I'll have enough shade that I can do things all over the yard. With some shade perennials, I'll have options. So, see, here's another trick that I put together. It might not even be a trick, it might be common knowledge to a lot of people, I don't know. I have a vertical element here. Then I have a multi-trunk, multi-stem burning bush there, or it's going to be tree form. Then I have the taller element behind it. And then to shadow the backside, I have some vines. And if you look through here, you can see the bright foliage in the back. And then you pop in a little bike. I like to do that. And then I've got a variegated, what do they call that? Elderberry. Yep, I just planted that about a month ago, and I left the tag on there and just haven't got to it. Yeah, that's gonna grow up, and it's gonna be pretty cool in there. And then added another tricycle in there. You gotta check out some of my other videos. I kind of go off the wall over there talking as well, but my imagination just allows me to do these types of things, and I think it's a stopping point in a garden. This tiger eye is going to be so good, but if you're a newcomer to planting it, you will have to weed it every once in a while, because I have it come up. It's about 2 years old and it comes up everywhere, but it's just a little snap and it's done. I talked about my water issues. Here's another spot where the water drains off. I touched on in another video that the person before us, this is a one-owned home. Previous owners brought in truckloads of soil and whatnot, and they were trying to do exactly what I was trying to do when I moved in. They were trying to create a situation where the water flowed away from the home, but I don't know how it worked out, guys. And it is what it is, but the soil is higher back here, and it flows in to this bottom spot right here, and that's where I'm left at with that. This right here, see that element right there? That's crocosmia. See how it just pops up there? I like the spiky, and just add different flavors, different styles. That lamb's ear, nice and soft, then it kind of echoes back up. You get your brights in front of it. Those Shasta daisies. I still got some daffodils holding on. Gosh, it is June like 5th or something like that, and it's still going. Everywhere you go when you're planting your garden, do your best to fill in the little spots. You don't have to go wild with all kinds of flowers and all that. If you look here, I've got two blooming items here, but look at all the color. Look at all the color. You don't have to have flowers to tell a story. You don't have to have flowers to be the focal point and pretty in your yard. Look at all of the different flavors and colors back there. And all the way along here as well. I've really started to like hydrangeas, and I'm popping them in everywhere. That is that one back there is a quick fire, and this one is an oak leaf, ruby slippers, and then I echoed that right there as well. Ruby slippers, quick fire. Okay, so the birds brought this vine in. It's looks like a grapevine, and I just tied it up this morning. I'm thinking I'm gonna see what it does. Tell me what you guys, if you guys plant the grapevines, tell me what your likes and dislikes are. If I should keep it, maybe you don't like it. Maybe you like that idea that just is a blank slate on there. Or maybe I could use it as a trellis. Look at the purple behind it. I don't know, the sun's starting to shine, but you see that style? You see how I've got purples, I've got greens, I've got blues, got some limes, lime color. It's just ever flowing. And then if I take you back, those of you who are deciding whether you want to subscribe or not, if I keep going back to the backyard or towards the house, this moon gate here, look at how I just got it to be right on the edge, almost perfectly. Did I design that several years ago? No, that moon gate's been there about a month and a half now. My brother and I made that. It's full and solid steel. Can't wait for it to rust. But here, this is going to be off the beaten path, and a few of you might judge me on this. Here's the thing. You work hard, good karma will come. You're a good person, good karma will come. Why am I telling you that? Is because when I put that back, that wooden trellis frame, whatever you want to call it, there's probably a name for it. When I built that, my daughter and I put that up, it was like 4 years ago. I had no idea 4 years ago that I was going to be adding a moon gate right off the steps of my porch. And I think if you're a good steward of the land, you pick up trash that other people throw out their window, you're headed into a box store and you see some water bottle and you just do all the right things, good karma will come. Guys, I'm not trying to be a weirdo or anything, but I'm coming right off the porch. Look at this. How did that happen, me not knowing that? I think just good garden karma allowed me to have that happen. Work hard, play hard, be a good person, good things will come. See, now I've got off the beaten path, and I'm gonna come up here and I'm gonna show you the garden from the porch. Look at this. If you watched any of my other videos, how fun is this? I can toss down bird or fish food, and the fish just will give me a good little show. See how that cherry, plum cherry, I think it's plum cherry, plum tree bush shrub that turned into that. See how all the rain over the sea, all through the last month and a half, weighed it down. It used to stand up pretty good. One will say, well, I want it to stand back up and go stake it. No. See how it kind of cascades over the pond? It's created its own identity. Yeah. Or in my mind it did. In my other videos I told you that shed. Have I done a video on the shed? I don't think I have. You guys want to talk about the shed? Let me tell you about the shed. So, after the hardscape and whatnot in the pond, I got tired of walking over that plywood and taking my lawnmower to the back and getting all wet. So I decided I needed a shed in the back. Well, the style I was going for was not brand new from Home Depot or wherever you would buy your material from, Lowe's or whatnot. So I said to myself, I want my own style. I want to do my own thing, and it has to look like it's been there a long time. I don't want my garden to look brand new. You've seen the different metals and whatnot. You've watched the videos. You see me put in rusty buckets here and there. You see that moon gate. I want it rusty. I want it to look like it's been there. Same goes for that shed. That shed, here's what that shed was. That was a Craigslist find that a person was doing a new deck. They wanted, the words in Craigslist was, take this old crappy wood and you can have it for free. Guess what? I just turned the planks over, cut it up, gave it a door, followed my instincts on Craigslist at the time. This was a little bit before I found out about Facebook having the whatever the shopping thing is on Facebook where you can go and anyways. So I get this shed and I build this frame and I get it all done, right? And I put it out and I'm feeling myself. I'm so excited about it, and it's still to me it's one of my favorite pieces. And my daughter gave me that little sign up top that says "Every birdie welcome." But let me see if this photo does it any justice. This video. My wife says, "Hey Mike, you got a minute?" So what's up? She's like, "Hey, your shed's leaning. Do you know that?" I said, "What do you mean it's leaning?" She said, "It looks like it's falling towards the back, Mike." I said, "Oh, I'm just kidding you, girl. I know." And she says, "Well, what do you mean you know? What's wrong with it?" And I said, "That was done on purpose." I said, "I couldn't build a old shed with the idea that it's supposed to be." She goes, "Well, tell me what you're talking." I said, "Well, I built it wonky. I built it off-site a little bit so that at the end of the day, it's got a little lean to it. As great as our great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents were, they ran into the same thing everyone runs into, and that's the ground's ever shifting. It's always doing its own little thing with freezes and movement and whatnot. So a lot of those old homes, they've settled. You ever go into an old home? Remember when you were going to college for the first time, or going to look at a house and the floor creaked and the ground was probably, or the walls in the basement had a crack in it? Hey, I couldn't put a brand new old style shed in the backyard and made it perfectly straight. I mean, that would defeat the whole purpose. She says, "You're crazy." Maybe. But guess what? It works. So, are you guys probably turning this off? I've rambled on. See this little bike here? This is what I do. just grab the old, throw it in here. I've touched on other videos. I can imagine the little girl, maybe the little boy, or both of them fighting over who was going to ride it next on a little gravel road. That's what my ideas come from. I don't want to let the old go. See that? That thing is covered in bees. In fact, now I was watering, so this is kind of leggy, but I just popped that in there. That is carnival heuchera, coral bells, whichever. But look at the purple with the lemon lime color. Sedum. See that? And like I said, I watered it down, so it's kind of, but see how it just wraps around? You kind of have your mind that, hey, it wants to live too, so it's just fighting for every little bit it got. And that's why it looks like it's from behind this lily. That's what I do. Give it an imagination. They're gonna have to work it out though in there. You know what I mean? I didn't buy those plants so they could just not work out. So all these plants, they're gonna have to build a relationship to make it work, because stuff's expensive. But look how cool that is. There are hummingbirds and bees. Well, the hummingbirds aren't here right now, but the bees are wild over this. Here's another element. I don't know if you can see it, but right back here is a bird bath. And the sun's probably playing a role right now. I hate when you try to videotape and the sun doesn't do so well. But that bird bath, I poked it back there. The birds will find it. You don't have to put your bird baths and all that stuff right up front. I know you really want to see it and whatnot, but right now, if the bird landed on that, it just kind of looks like it's taking a mystical bath. It's so lush back there. And then I put this sidewalk in. It really goes to the shed, but you see how it curves? The illusion is that it keeps going on forever. It don't. Got some little sunflowers in here. Cone flowers. Okay guys, welcome back. I apologize. The neighbor came over and wanted to visit and had a few questions about design, and I'm like, okay. And I like doing that. Just, I hate leading you guys on a path and then having to stop. I touched in another video that bench down there was a piano bench. Somebody didn't want it anymore. They threw it out. I grabbed it. Those birdhouses my uncle's, or my wife's uncle made. So if you're not familiar with what's going on here, that's grape jelly in the bowl, in the center dish. Right there. And those are oranges on the side. So a couple things. The Orioles, when they come through on their migration, they're attracted to orange. If you put the color orange out and give them grape jelly, they will love you and they will stick around, and they might even nest in your probably not your immediate home, but it will be in the vicinity because they know there's fresh food there. And they love oranges, and they will dig right in it, and they do that all the time. Also the finches like to get in there, and also the flies. So yeah, a little splash of coleus right here, and some of that bright colors back there of the hostas and whatnot. The Annabelle hydrangeas are showing off, and I'm okay with it. They know the camera's on them, so there's some more. And that blue chair, I'm not sure if it's going to stay there, but I'm an opportunist, and I grabbed it sitting on someone's driveway that didn't want it and was going to go to the trash. So you know the old saying, one man's trash. Yep. And here's one of my favorite trees. That's Phil, otherwise known as Contorted Filbert. He will get wonky and wild over the years, and that's about the extent of it. What it's doing right now, that's it. That's its style. And it'll just continue to grow, but it won't change any. I did a video on this bed not too long ago. This was another area I built up. Of course, if you've watched the whole video, you know everything's been built up because of my drainage situation. We've had so much rain. The bee balm here, it looks pretty raggedy down there, and that's all right. Hey, not everything can be up front. Go back through photos of family reunions, class pictures. There's always those people that want to sit in the back row. They don't want to be up front. There's these people that want to, and those people that want in the back. And that's okay. Because just like them, they all have their worth. And these bee balm will be a show like no other soon. See the shadow lines that are created by these trees? You got to get your hardscape if you want it to be good. Give yourself an opportunity to add a variety and a host of different things to your landscape. Create you a sidewalk, a little path. Maybe it's a path to nowhere, but look, it makes you want to follow it. How about that, guys? What do you think? Keep it like this? One of the comments, I try to please everyone, but one of the comments said the fence would be better if it was full pickets and not so raggedy. That one I'm not changing. I kind of like that idea that it's been there for 100 years and it's missing its pickets. Just like my 5-year-old shed that looks like it's been there for a long time. If you're curious what this yard looked like 5 years ago until I do a video, you don't have to follow me on Instagram, but go look at my Instagram. It's Moxie_Gardens. And when I created this page back in January or something like that, I put a bunch of before and after. Or no, I think I just did the before when we purchased the home. The pictures that are in there is the day that we purchased the home, and you can get a real good feel of how this looked. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, that would be awesome. See those wagon wheels? I touched on this before in another video, but those wagon wheels, another find. You see the relationship that's built up? Even if you don't even like that style, it still makes for a good photo, don't you think? Go to your antique stores and find you something. Make you some happy. Yeah. All the yarrow and stuff in there. The yarrow bleeds through. Just gives it that pop of color. These black-eyed Susans are going to be... There I go. Anyways, folks. Friends. We'll catch you on the flip side. Look those before photos on Moxie_Gardens. Thanks for listening to me ramble. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, friends.